Hello and welcome back to my channel. I am Tie-Dye Smurf, known to some of you as Paunchy, others as Kay. Um, anyway, today I wanted to come back and make my debut back to YouTube and do so in a witchy way. So I have prepared 25 witchy questions, some that may not be relevant to everyone because they do have to do with the place that I work at. But if you like to participate and do this witchy tag as well, I do encourage you to do so and just answer the questions that do relate to you. And tag me so I can know. Just do hashtag Paunchy's witchy tag. I think that's a good one, right? That way I can see it. Anyway, I'm not going to sit here and chat your ear off. We'll just jump right in. So the first question I have on my questionnaire, and I do have my trusty laptop here in front of me with the questions so I don't lose track, is what led you on your current path and how long have you been on it? So I would say, as my grandma says, I have come by this path honestly, or I have come by it honestly. I've always had interest in witchy things or the occult from as far back as I can remember. As soon as I was old enough to check a book out of a library, it was always something witchy or occult related. So I've always had that interest. So I would say I've probably been on that path for just about as long as I've been checking out those books. So grade school, honestly. So it wasn't until I was in my 20s that I really got into having a set ritual and calling myself a witch, that sort of thing. So the next question I just kind of answered is, how long did you stay in the broom closet, or are you still in it? So I am no longer in the broom closet. I did come out of the broom closet about, I'd say 6-7 years ago. I'm 33 now, going to be 34 this year, and I want to say I came out of the broom closet, about 6 years ago or so. So yeah. The next question, do you believe you have natural abilities that you feel help you with your craft, whether they be spiritual or creative? And yes, I do believe I have both. I believe that my interest in anything art or craft-like has assisted me in creating my own rituals and creating my own things for my altar space, and also within my own business that I own. And I also believe that my natural abilities, I am a psychic medium, I believe that those natural abilities do assist me in my everyday rituals and practice and connection as well. So, do you work with a specific path or work with specific deities? So, I would say yes and no. So, I do follow, I guess you could say, the ancestral path. So I do ancestral magic. I work with my ancestors above all else. I do work with certain saints. I do work with certain gods and deities that are well known. But I'm very eclectic. I would say that I don't follow a specific path per se. I'm very eclectic in pulling things from different world religions and different paths. So I have connected to many deities, whether they are Hindu or Celtic or African or whatever the case may be. I have connected to many deities along the way. So I would just say I am overall very eclectic and work with my ancestors above all else. Oh, and the angels. Those are my homies. I work with them on the regular as well. So, has your path evolved as you have continued your practice, or has it remained the same? So I would say it has evolved quite a bit, actually. So when I first started on my path, I was trying too hard to find a direction. I was trying too hard to do what a lot of people do, I think, when finding their spiritual way, is I was trying to find like an outline to follow. And I don't do that anymore. I work completely intuitively now. I don't go based on what other people say they do. I do what feels best for me intuitively. And I feel that that works best. My power is the strongest that way, and my magic, and so forth. So, yeah. Do you believe in secrecy in regards to your practice, or do you share your personal spell work, or just decide to keep it between you and the spirits? So, I would say a little bit of both. I think I'll share how I do something or what steps to take, but I don't like to show my personal altar space when I'm doing spell work. I believe that, and this is just my upbringing and the people that I've been taught from and my teachers in my spiritual path, is that you don't share your altar space. That's something between you and the spirit world. So I just personally don't share pictures of my altar. And if I do share pictures of my altar, I alter it after. Little play on words there for you. So that's just my own personal preference. Before ritual, do you like to set the mood by listening to specific music, or do you just like to jump right in? So personally, I'm kind of a chaos witch, I guess. I just jump right in there. I will call in my guides, call in for protection, and then just get right to it. I don't really need to set the vibe necessarily. Sometimes I will. Sometimes I will put on some specific music. It has to do with my cultural background, to kind of bring my ancestors in and that sort of thing. If I'm doing some really strong protective work, that type of thing. But other than that, I don't really need to set the mood on the regular for day-to-day practice. So, do you remember your first witchy purchase? What your first witchy purchase was, and do you remember what drew you to it? So, like I said, I've always been drawn to this since childhood. I think one of my first witchy purchases was actually a used book on witchcraft or the history of witches that had like a couple of spells like thrown in there or something. I was just drawn to it. It was like one of those things, and this still happens to me when I go to the bookstore, where I was just walking and it was like a magnet. It just drew me to it. I just needed it. So followed that feeling, grabbed a book, and here we are. And question number 9. How do you feel about the labels of dark magic, light magic, and gray magic? And do you feel you fit into one? So I think it's kind of funny that I, of all people, would put this in my questionnaire, but I think it's an important thing that we do talk about. I do believe that there are people that practice mostly light. I do believe that there are people that practice mostly dark, but I do believe most people fall in the gray area. I don't believe that anyone is pure light, pure dark, or anything like that. I feel like even the people that practice mostly black magic, per se, black magic, it's all perception. I feel like a lot of people that do black magic or light work may play the other foot sometimes when need be. And I feel like that's kind of where I fall in. I'm a light worker, but I will do stuff that is protective that may fall into a darker realm of magic per se, because it's drawing in stronger forces, but not necessarily malevolent. Does that make sense? I don't work with malevolent magic, but I do work with strong protective magic that can get miscommunicated as dark magic if someone picks up on the energy behind it, if that makes sense. So I do believe that there can be categories. I do believe people put themselves in categories. I myself, if anything, would say I'd be gray. All right, so do you believe in animism, or the idea that everything carries a consciousness, such as rocks, plants, animals, and inanimate objects? So, yes. Yes, 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 yes. I am one of those people that believe everything carries a spirit. Everything has a consciousness, that sort of thing. So I treat everything as such. So you may see me talk to things that normal people wouldn't talk to. That's just the way I am. I believe that everything should be respected. If I can't prove that it doesn't have a consciousness, I'm going to treat it as it does, because what if one day we find out it does? I don't want to be that jerk that treated something rudely. Does that make sense? So, next question. Do you have a favorite magical tool? So I would say I like to work with candles. I like to work with herbs. Those would probably be my favorite magical tools to work with. However, if you've ever gotten a reading from me, you'll know that I always wear a head cover when I do readings, and I always have my keys. So I would say those are also my favorite magical tools, my key and my head covering. So have you ever done a spell that you regret doing, or do you ever regret not doing a spell sooner or none at all? I would say no. I don't think I have any regrets. I feel like everything I've ever done I needed to do, and I've learned from it. So I have no regrets. All right. How do you incorporate magic in your everyday life? So I am a huge believer in intention. So my whole business is built on intention. Everything that I do is built on intention. Everything I make is built on intention. My whole brand is essentially intention. So I would say putting intention into everyday things is how I use magic in everyday life. So I will put the intention in my food as I'm eating it. I will put the intention in my water as I'm drinking it. I will put the intention into the blanket as I'm knitting it. Like whatever I'm doing in that moment, I'm putting intention behind it. And I feel like that's a very simple way to incorporate magic in your everyday life. So what are your favorite sources for researching all things witchy? I personally love books. The older the better. I think old books have very interesting viewpoints, whereas new books are kind of sharing the same information over and over again, not to like hate on people, because there are some very good books that are newer. But I do like to look at more of the psychology driven, like psychic type books that are from like the 70s and that type of thing when I'm researching that type of subject matter. But when it comes to actual ritual, I'd rather go to a person rather than a book. So I learn a lot of my things from others who practice. So the people in my everyday life that I know who also practice. I have elders in my life. I've been very blessed who have passed on certain knowledge to me. And so those would be my favorite people to go to when I'm looking to research certain things. All right, do you believe in other realms? And what about mythical creatures or the fae and aliens? So yes, I believe in everything until I don't have proof. So quite the opposite of some people. I'm a very fox molder. I believe and want to believe in everything, essentially. I think it's silly for us to write off things that we don't have proof of, simply because we don't have proof of it. We have, like, the ocean, for instance. We don't know 90% of what we should know about the ocean. Like, you know, there's so much we don't know about the ocean still. So if there's something on our own planet we don't know enough about, what's to say that there's other things that we haven't been able to tap into yet, dimensionally or otherworldly or whatnot. As far as the fae, I do believe in the fae. Maybe that's my ancestors speaking through me, being like, yeah, homie, they exist, because I do have that Celtic Welsh background from my mom's side. But I like to believe in them. I believe in their trickery, all that fun stuff. So yeah, I talk to them every time I go for walks in the woods. So what witchy book has impacted you most? And this could be like a spiritual book too. It doesn't necessarily have to be like about witchcraft or anything like that. My personal book, I would say, that impacted me the most would be The Secret. I read that when I was 17, and it changed my whole perspective and probably put me on the path that I'm on as far as intention and what you put out into the universe matters and all that stuff. It put me in that mindset at a very young age and kind of kept me in that mindset even now. So the next question, do you have any advice for baby witches? My best advice for anyone coming into their own practice, make your own rules. Don't go buy a book and try to follow their rules. Don't build your practice based on someone else's. Do what feels right to you. Always follow your own intention above all else. You can't go wrong if you're following your own soul. Do you know what I mean? And don't do bad stuff. Don't hex people just to hex people. That stuff is so silly and, in my opinion, very immature. All right, so do you know your sun, moon, and rising signs? Yes, I do. So I am a Cancer sun, Gemini moon, and Cancer rising. Do you have a witchy business? Yes, I do. I own a business called Ponchi's Potion. Ponchi's Potion and Tarot Readings is what I go by on Facebook, but my business name is just Ponchi's Potion. It is an intent-based business, as I spoke on earlier. So I have a lot of products that I make personally, all handmade, customizable for intent, whether that be for your actual ritual, if it's a bath blend, or for your altar space. I do a lot. So if you ever want any custom intentional products, reach out to your homie. Do you practice as a solo practitioner or within a coven? So I would say a little bit of both, I guess. So I am predominantly a solo practitioner, though if a homie needs help with something, they need a little bit of extra oomph on something, we need to throw some protection down, I will help someone out and I will throw down the ritual with them. So, like I said, a little bit of both. What made you start working for Coven? So Coven is the metaphysical shop here in Northeast Ohio that I work at, and I believe that the universe actually put me there. I found Coven in a very strange way. I was just on Facebook. I had just recently moved back to Ohio, was looking to put myself out there as a medium and a psychic and a tarot reader. And I was scrolling and I saw Miranda, the shop owner, on my newsfeed, and I was like, who is she? And my guys were like, who is she? Message her. Ask her to read at her shop. And I was like, what do you mean? This shop doesn't even look like it's local. There's nothing like this around here. What are you talking about? I clicked on it. It was local. So I messaged her. And I was just like, I don't know if you're interested in having a tarot reader or if you have a tarot reader already, but I would love to meet with you and talk about it. And so we did, and the rest is history. I have been working with her through Coven for about a year now. So what is your favorite product at Coven? That's really hard. We get a lot of really awesome independent artists that have their products sold through Coven. There are a lot of really cool tarot decks. The Stolen Child Tarot is my absolute favorite deck that we have in the shop right now. We have a lot of beautiful crystals and different things for your altar space. But I think like the handmade jewelry from like Lake Witch, love that. She does some really, really cool pieces. And just like the stuff from small artists. I like all that kind of stuff. So yeah. What is your favorite thing about working at Coven? If I had to pick just one thing that I love about working at Coven, I would have to say it would be the connection. Not just with the people that I work with, but the people that come through the store. So not just the people that I'm giving readings to, but the people that I talk to. There are a lot of really awesome conversations that go on within the space of Coven. So it's really great to just be there and just speak to people with similar mindsets or different mindsets on similar paths or different paths, and just kind of compare notes and that sort of thing. So I think like sometimes the most enjoyable part of working there is just the conversations that we have with each other. So what is a magical thing that keeps you going? I've talked about it several times already. Intention. That is the thing that keeps me going. I will put the intention out into the universe of what it is I want when I am not there yet. That sort of thing. And just knowing how fast manifestation has worked for me and just putting that belief out there just seems to get me through sometimes. And do you think magic is something that will always be in your life? So I think absolutely, I have no doubt in my mind that I will always be practicing. I feel like magic is something that is very authentic to who I am as a person. I feel like it is very authentic to my ancestry and my family background. I feel like a lot of people within my family have, in some way or another, practiced, whether through traditional religion or through a path which they found on their own. And I just feel like it's something that I'm always going to incorporate in my life. So I definitely will always keep magic alive in my life. So that is the questions I have today, my little witchy tag. And like I said, if you'd like to join and do this witchy tag as well, just throw in the little hashtag so I can see. As always, love and light to all of you. I hope you take care of yourselves and each other because the world needs it. Bye.